Let Me In is a vampire horror movie. The movie is about this boy and his mom that live at this apartment complex. Well, one day, mysterious family moves in, this guy and this little girl. And yeah, nothing too crazy about them. The boy goes to school and he is bullied because he is just more of like a feminine boy. He has feminine features, kinda, where he kinda just looks like a girl. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But at school, he is bullied for it. They basically call him little girl. And yeah, so he has some issues that he needs to work out. And for some reason, he's not telling his mom, as his mom's like this super Christian. And I think it's just to keep her happy because she's like going through a divorce. Yeah, and just this kid is not having a good time. Well, it's winter time and he's outside on like this little playground, I guess you could call it, at this apartment complex. And just that little girl comes out. She don't have shoes on, weird. And yeah, they befriend each other. They get to talking, la di da di da di, and yeah, he basically kinda ends up falling in love with this little girl. As it's kind of like a little romantic love story, but it isn't like weird or anything. And the whole time, there's just a side story going on about basically the caregiver to this little girl is going out and killing people for blood. And yeah, basically, she is a vampire. And the rest of the movie is just about this little boy coming to terms with the chick he likes being a vampire, the little girl basically trying not to kill people because, she's a vampire, the stuff with the caregiver and what he's going through and his little backstory, which I'll get into in the review because it's spoilers, this police officer investigating these murders, and those bullies just bullying that little boy and the consequences of that. And that is about the movie without too many spoilers. I mean, she was clearly a vampire, so that's not a spoiler. But yeah, so my review to Let Me In. And first off, didn't even realize this until the very, very end. But yeah, this is written and directed, well, written for the screen and directed by Matt Reeves, which makes sense because there is like some really good shots in this movie and obviously classic. The story was really good. Like, it was original for me in the sense that I've seen so many horror movies and like you don't ever really get to see kind of like love story horror movies that are done well. And it was just like a different taste. But nonetheless, the beginning for me was a little boring, and I like more violent horror movies in a sense, or like mystery horror movies, and yeah, so like even though the story was really good, it wasn't my cup of tea, which takes nothing away from it. That's just me letting you guys know my thoughts. Yeah, the acting was really good. There were, I said, I like disturbing horror movies and like violent horror movies. There was some crazy shit that happened in this movie. One in particular, when the one girl in the hospital gets turned to a vampire and she wakes up and she just starts eating her own arm because she sees blood on her arm. And then the nurse comes in and opens the blinds and she catches on fire. That was like intense. Like pretty crazy. Also, the practical effects on the guy's face after he pours the acid on himself because he doesn't want to be identified. That was pretty extreme. Also, the writing was really good. The storytelling I liked because like you had to pick clues out from like just the environment. An example is when the little boy goes into the little girl's apartment and he finds the picture, the old ass picture reel on the table, and he picks it up, and then he puts two and two together and realizes that wasn't her dad. That's why I say caregiver, because what it was is that's a little boy that fell in love with her when he was little, and he's basically been with her the whole time, and now that he's an adult, he's more or less, because it would be just really fucked up and just illegal and not cool, that now he's kind of like a dad figure to her, which was cool. But yeah, so he was like, oh shit, and that was just like storytelling, because you're like, who is this dude? And so I thought that was just a cool little way without really explaining it, because explaining it would just be kind of fucking weird and just like, what? So yeah, just all in all pretty good, honestly. And the very end with the pool scene, and not gonna go too many spoilers, I don't want to spoil the whole damn movie, but the little boy who's upside down getting dragged through the pool, that was just a really good shot. Classic Matt Reeves. But yeah, all in all, just a really good story. I like how it ended. It just, the beginning was boring. Like for me, the movie didn't even really get good until like halfway through, which isn't bad pacing at all. I've seen worse. Yep, so all in all, pretty good movie. So my recommendation for Let Me In, and yeah, I'm going to go recommended, as this is probably better than that, but it's more of a biased opinion, as just everything I review. It's just my opinion. So, you know, I like things that other people might not like, vice versa. And this is one of those situations where, you know, like these stories aren't my cup of tea. Not real big into like love stories, or like, honestly, I've only seen a couple vampire horror movies that I super enjoy. Maybe that'd take a turn in this movie grow on me, but nonetheless, recommended is insanely good. And this is probably highly recommended for some other people that really like these kind of stories. So yeah, just pretty good movie.